Some teams make the tournament, some teams don't. Sorry. Spiritual gifts of trash talk. It's just alive and well. Hey, before I jump into week 2 of Where's God in all of this, I want to just take you back to October when our senior pastor, Bill Hybels, got up and delivered a vision talk for the upcoming ministry year. And one of the facets of that talk, he said that we wanted to multiply our reach. And how we were going to do that is once a month, we were going to go all in for these invite or invitational weekends. And so we began, our first invite weekend was Prison Pack Weekend. You might remember that Michael Franzese, former mob boss, was here with us. And we packed gifts for prisoners, and Bill taught from a prison cell. So it was a powerful weekend. And a couple things have happened since then. We've gotten really, really excited about these invite weekends. We brought in Lecrae in January. He was phenomenal. We brought in Tony Dungy. He was amazing. We brought in Simone Biles, and it was incredible. And I realized something. Number one, I realized that each and every one of you have done a great job at taking risks to invite your friends. And I don't know a church that has stepped in and as quickly as you all have raised like our invitational temperature. I can see that your heart is to bring people far from God, or people who are seeking or searching, exploring, post-church, unchurched, de-church, whatever, into our community. And I know this because last weekend we did Getting Started. Heather and I kind of taught at it, and at the end, I met a number of people who said, I came here for Simone Biles. And I came here for Tony Dungy. And I came here because a friend invited me for Lecrae. Or I came here for that Prison Pack weekend, and I got connected. And some people even came forward a couple weeks ago and were baptized. And now they're like looking and discovering true community. And I just want to say, well done. You guys are doing it. And that's just really, really beautiful. And I just wanted to take a moment just to commend you. Yeah. The second thing that I'm realizing is we as a staff are learning a lot doing these invitational weekends. And I'm not saying that we've done them all perfect. We're learning how to do it. We're learning how to let you in, or we're learning how to actually get guests and bring them in. I mean, we're learning a number of things. And this upcoming one is going to be a really, really unique and I think a really great experience. We're going to have Anne Lamont here and Lee Strobel, and I'm really excited. I just want to take a moment to kind of explain this. I have 13 friends that anytime a name is recommended, so sometimes you all will send in a name, sometimes Paul Johnson down here, our executive producer, he'll take names and look to see if people are interested in coming to Willow, and if they are, then it kind of goes to Bill, Heather, myself, and a couple of others, and we start doing some research. So I take a name, I bring it to 13 friends. 3 of those friends have never, ever been to a Willow service. So I selfishly am trying to see, would one of these names that we are pitching ever maybe intrigue them enough to come? So I go and I'm like, Tony Dungy, this is an easy one. And he's like, oh, that's really great, really great. I'm not gonna come. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Super Bowl winning champ, jeez. All right, go back the next month. Simone Biles, 4'8" of like sheer glory. That's amazing. I'm still not coming. I'm like, who are you? And so then Paul sends me Anne Lamont's name, an author from California. I go, hey, to my friend, hey, what about Anne Lamont? Oh, I'd come for that. And I'm like, what? Really? He's like, yeah. And so I was like, this is incredible. Okay, so here's what I want you to know. Not every time that every person that gets up on the stage believes exactly everything that we would subscribe to as a church, but we are trying to lean into respecting everyone always. And I've sat on the phone and I've talked to Anne. I've like been interacting with Lee. I'm really excited about this. I called Anne. And I've never, in 45-minute conversation, ever been referred to as honey as much as I have in that conversation. But I want you to know what this interview is going to be. First is, she said something in the year 2000. I was hearing her speak and be interviewed. And she used this line that was really, really beautiful to me. It's actually on my Twitter handle, but it says, she said, "We are Easter people living in a Good Friday world." I just thought it was one of the most profound statements I'd ever heard. I want to start the interview and go, what did you mean by that? And then I want to talk about some of her views on grace, because she has this amazing recovery story and how she came to experience grace, and some of the things that she's been learning about mercy. And she's got some incredible quotes that I'm just going to have up on the screen about forgiveness, and I just want to show it and just like, tell me about this, and tell me about this, and tell me about this. So I just want you to know that's the spirit of this conversation, probably 15 minutes. And then Nick Benoit has been working on a piece, and you know when Nick gets up here and he's got multimedia, it's gonna be powerful for your friends. And then we'll have awesome, great worship and some music, and then Lee will come up and we'll interview him for 20 minutes about what God's been doing in his life. I mean, he was a skeptic, worked for the Tribune, an accomplished writer, and then came to faith through Willow, and God has just been doing stuff with his life. This week, he comes out with a brand new movie called The Case for Christ. It's an amazing story. I actually saw the movie. Yeah. And I'm really excited just to give him a chance to kind of unpack what he thinks the gospel is. So I just want to tell you that's kind of what we're doing. I'm really proud of all of you for raising the invitational temperature, and we're learning, and we believe that God has something for next weekend. So I just want to take a moment to pray over next weekend, pray for us that we continue to take risks, and pray over this message. So God, thank you for what you are stirring in our church. I love seeing people who don't have community find connection and belonging here at Willow. Our people who don't have a relationship with you begin a journey of exploration, begin a conversation to learn more and more about you and your grace and your love and your peace. And God, I just pray that you would begin bringing faces and places where each and every one of us would be willing to take a risk. And God, I pray that you would just use next weekend from the worship, from the creative pieces, from the interviews, from people as they drive in on our parking lot, as they walk into a hallway, they get coffee, as they interact with the sections and the community, that they would just feel a tangible sense of your presence. We believe that you're here, God. We believe that you have something for us. And as we dive into week 2, God, right now, as we open up your word, I pray that the scripture would just come alive. God, this message is really personal to me, and I pray that these words would just resonate. Let them be your words, God. Guide me and lead me. We pray all this in your name. Amen. Well, welcome everyone who is watching online or any of our regional campuses that are checking this talk out. We are in week 2, the book of Esther. Where's God in all of this? And we're going to do something a little bit different. Usually, when you kind of do a deep dive in a book, you start at the beginning of a chapter. We're not going to do that. I'm going to start at the very end of the chapter because I love movies that start at the end, and all of a sudden you're like, what is going on? What is happening? Where's this movie going? And then all of a sudden it just makes sense. And I think chapter 3 does that. So I want to start at the very end of chapter 3 and just start working back to the beginning. Now, in chapter 3, it ends with an incredible sentence. It just says this: the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Susa was bewildered. Remember from last week, the king was King Xerxes. He was this megalomaniac, very insecure, but very, very powerful. And now he's got this guy named Haman, and they're sitting down to drink, and Haman is like his new right-hand man. He is risen in power and great influence, and they're sitting down at the end of the day to drink, and yet the capital city of Susa is bewildered. It's perplexed. It's in a state of confusion. And here's the truth. There are things that you do each and every day that bewilder people around you. There are things that you do each and every day that confuse and perplex those people that are closest to you. There are things that other people do each and every day that bewilder you, perplex you, confuse you. And right now, the king and his right-hand man, Haman, are sitting down to drink, and the entire capital city is bewildered. Which makes you ask the question, why? Why are they in such a state of confusion? Look at verse 13. It says this, dispatches were sent by couriers to all the king's provinces with the order to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jews, young and old, women and children, on a single day, the 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar, and to plunder their goods. A copy of the text of the edict was to be issued as law in every province and made known to the people of every nationality so they would be ready for that day. Why is the city bewildered? Because a decree has just been issued for mass genocide, for the Jews to be exterminated. I mean, heavy stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen or felt the effects of a genocide. In the year 2000, I found myself in Rwanda. I'm walking around and I see the effects of a genocide. Many of you know this. The UN reports in 100 days that somewhere between 800,000 and 1 million people were killed. Two tribes going at each other. And even to this day, you'll be walking and you'll see people who are just missing limbs because of genocide. And all throughout the Persian Empire, couriers are getting on horses. They have all of the papers, and they're bringing it from Ethiopia to India up to Pakistan, the entire Persian Empire, and they're making this decree that in 12 months, all on one day, every Jewish person you see will be killed. And the city is just confused, bewildered. But how does a genocide get decreed? How does someone ever dream up that idea? Well, you got to get the king's blessing on that. So look what happens in verse 8. Then Haman said to King Xerxes, there is a certain people dispersed among the peoples in all the provinces of your kingdom who keep themselves separate. Their customs are different from those of all the other people, and they do not obey the king's laws. It is not in the king's best interest to tolerate them. Very fascinating line. Right now, this is a fabrication of a story. And Haman is fabricating a story, trying to get the king's appeal. And he begins to say, there are people who are separate from you. There are people who are different from you. And there are people who do not obey you. And because of that, you don't need to tolerate them. Now, tolerate's an interesting word. Because Xerxes' grandfather, if you remember from last week, was this king named Cyrus the Great. And everyone would say that he created the first bill of human rights. He was known as a very tolerant king. He would go and overtake different countries and cities, but he didn't harm those people. He actually brought them, empowered them, freed them in many ways to work with him to build the Persian Empire. And all of a sudden, Haman is now telling Xerxes, forget about your grandfather. They are separate from you. They're different from you. They don't obey you. Do not respect them. Do not tolerate them. And then he says these words, if it pleases the king, let a decree be issued to destroy them. And I will give 10,000 talents of silver to the king's administrators for the royal treasury. So all of a sudden he goes, hey, please, if this is of you, you don't want to deal with these people. You don't want to tolerate them. If it's what you want, would you destroy all the Jews? And I'll actually bankroll it. I will give you 10,000 silver talents from my own Chase bank account. I will give it to you. Now, you got to think about this for a second. How many Jews were there? At the lowest estimate that I could find was that there were 120,000 Jews living in exile throughout the Persian Empire. 10,000 talents means that one silver talent was worth 12 Jews. Brace your heart. So what would cause someone to make this decree? What would cause someone to fabricate a story? You got to get to the thing beneath the thing. You just got to keep searching. Look at this. Verse 2, chapter 3. All the royal officials at the king's gate knelt down and paid honor to Haman, for the king had commanded this concerning him. But Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor. Now, everywhere Haman went, because he was the right-hand man of the king, every person in the Persian Empire was commanded to kneel down and to pay honor. So you kneel like this. To pay honor means to lay prostrate on the ground. How awesome would that be? Everywhere you went, people are like just looking at the ground. Except Mordecai. Mordecai doesn't do it. Mordecai just stays standing. And this does something within Haman. Look at verse 5. It says this, day after day, that's verse 4. Verse 5 says, when Haman saw that Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor, he was enraged. Yet having learned who Mordecai's people were, he scorned the idea of killing only Mordecai. Instead, Haman looked for a way to destroy all Mordecai's people, the Jews, throughout the whole kingdom of Xerxes. Do you see what's going on? Here, I want to explain it through a little bit of a prop. This represents a piece of fruit. And the truth is, many of us in this room are fixated by fruit, bad fruit or good fruit. But God's not necessarily so fixated about the fruit. The truth is, there's something that is allowing this fruit to grow. And for Haman, he fabricates a story, and he gets the king to buy that lie, that there are people who are separating themselves, people who are different, people who aren't worthy to be tolerated. And what you begin to see with Haman is you see, before he even fabricates this story, underneath that, to make it grow to this bad fruit, he plots and he looks, the scriptures say, for a way to destroy the Jewish people. But there's something, why would he look to destroy the Jewish people? Well, the scriptures say that he gets enraged. He finds himself just so enraged with Mordecai. And this enraged makes him create this story to try and destroy and plot the Jews, to fabricate a story so that a genocide can be decreed. But there's a thing beneath the thing beneath the thing. And it's at a root level. And what was the root of this entire genocide decree? At the root, most basic level, was the fact that Mordecai wouldn't kneel and pay him honor. So because Mordecai won't pay him honor and kneel down, he gets enraged, he plots to destroy the Jews, he fabricates a story, and then the king buys it, and the decree is set. Friends, we are fixated with bad fruit, but let me tell you, God is fixated on the root, on the process that is leading us to the decisions and bearing not the best kind of fruit. And the truth is, many of us in this room are like Haman. I experienced this in the year 2008. I was leaving my grandma's house with my wife and my 8-month-old. We're driving in our little Honda Civic, and it's in a bad snowstorm. It's the end of December, and I'm driving, and I'm going down this one little road on my way back to our house when a huge chunk of ice comes flying through the sky and hits our windshield, cracks our windshield. I swerve, begin to kind of slide in our little Civic, get it straightened out, and I realize, all tense, somebody just threw a chunk of ice at me. And my wife's like, just forget about it. It's okay. Everything's okay. And I'm like, there's a crack in the windshield. And she's like, it's okay, just keep going. I'm like, no. And I whip the Honda Civic around. I pull over in a snowstorm, leave my wife and my 8-month-old on the side of the road. I open up the door, and I see people running. And I'm like, oh, you're gonna get it. And I yell out, I've called the police. You cracked my windshield. I'm coming for you. And so I run across 2 lanes of traffic. I come to an embankment. I think I can jump it. I try to jump it. Midway through, I realize I can't jump it. I land through a patch of snow that's just covering a whole bunch of water. And I land in water up to my waist, soaking wet, cold water. And I'm like, oh, you're gonna get it. Oh. And now I'm like, I'm gonna find you. I am gonna chase you down. The cops are coming. And I am running through a field that leads up to a suburban neighborhood, like a crazy person. I finally get to the suburban neighborhood, and I've seen CSI, friends. I know how to do this. I walk out into the middle of the street, I close my eyes, and I just start to kind of turn, because I'm trying to listen. Do I hear a door, a garage door, a car? What is going on? I'm looking for my detective skills when I hear the garage door closing. I look over 3 doors down, there it is, and I take off running, soaking wet pants, huffing and puffing. I knock on that door, and a man opens it. And I said, excuse me, sir. Any chance, college-age student, high school student came running in just a second ago? No, but my 6th grader and his buddy just ran in. And I was like, now, just mind you, I am a junior high pastor at this time. And I said, can I have a word with them? He's like, yeah, sure. Why are your pants wet? It's a long story. Can you just go get him? All of a sudden, I see 2 junior high students coming down the stairs, and they are shaking like puppies, shaking and scared with every step. They can't even look me in the eyes. And it's at this moment I hear this profound whisper from God that just simply goes, who's the crazy person? The father says, oh, here they are. Did you want to say something? And I don't know what to say. There's part of me that just wants to scream, but I know the fool that I've just made of myself. And so I just look at them, and I just go, hey guys, I just want to tell you that was a really nice shot. And I walk away. And as I'm walking away, I start to think, what led me to chase down 6th graders in a snowstorm and leave my wife and 8-month-old stranded on the side of the road? Maybe it's because I just left my grandparents' house and we were on the verge of moving to California. And that was gonna be the last meal that I was gonna have with them for a while. And maybe underneath that, it was the fact that on my way to my grandparents' house, the people who were supposedly buying my house backed out. And maybe in 2008, I was feeling the effects of the big 3, and nobody was moving to Michigan, and I was feeling deeply afraid and scared. And at the root of the root of the root, the thing beneath the thing, I wasn't sure if we were gonna be able to sell the house. And I was not sure that God was gonna take care and provide. And in that moment, I was given a gift when a piece of ice hit my windshield that allowed me to get to the thing beneath the thing. Think about your marriage. You ever had a moment in your relationship where someone just gave you the quiet treatment, the silent treatment? They stonewalled you, they huffed and they puffed, and every time you walked in the room, they're like, no, And you're like, what did I do? And you think underneath that, you realize, oh, you were asked to do one thing, one job. You had one job, and you didn't do it. And the truth is, they've been asking you to do that one job for 4 weeks. and you have not done it. You've made excuse after excuse after excuse. And underneath that, there's this part of this person that's feeling, does my voice even matter in this marriage? And at the root level, the thing beneath the thing is this question: does what I say, is it really valued? Does it really matter? Do I really matter? I see some of you squirming right now. Is this hitting home? Think about you at work. You ever have it in a meeting and your boss in the marketplace comes in, takes over the meeting, just starts verbally assaulting employees, and people are like, just done. They're just laying there, and you're like, man, all of the damage just is around the table. And you're like, what were you thinking? I'm bewildered and confused. Why are you doing this? Well, maybe it's because one of the people showed up 10 minutes late to the meeting. And maybe the person who was driving the meeting wasn't prepared to lead the meeting. And maybe underneath that, all of the stockholders and board members have been emailing this boss saying, do you feel the pressure? You have to perform. And underneath that, you have this boss who feels like it's all on him. The thing beneath the thing is that he's alone. That's all on him. And he looks and he goes, nobody gets it. Nobody wants it. I got to do it all. And so the bad fruit just gets lashed out. Think about your family. You ever had that moment with your child, or maybe this is how you interacted with your parents at sometimes? You're in the car and you're just silent. And then finally your parent just tries to interact with you, and then you just have a moment where you just lash out. And you say things to your mom or you say things to your dad that you never, ever meant to say, but it just comes out. And you're like, wow, why? Well, maybe because they picked you up 15 minutes late. Then they said they would. And underneath that, that's not just the first time that they've picked you up late. Maybe they've picked you up late 3 times in the last 2 weeks. And maybe underneath that, you just don't feel like you're that important to your parents. And maybe underneath that, the thing beneath the thing is that work is more important to mom or dad than I am. Maybe you've had this with a friend, and a friend just rages or slanders or gossips, and what they say, it just confuses and perplexes you. But underneath that, there's a story, and underneath that, there's a story. And deep down, it's probably some comparison where someone felt like they were better, and they had to take that person down, and all they wanted to be seen and noticed, but they weren't. And all of a sudden, it just led to this bad fruit. Think about addictions. You see a family member, you see a friend, and they're high again, they're passed out again, and we just see the bad fruit. We just see that. But God isn't fixated on the bad fruit. God is fixated on the root. And there's a story and there's a thing beneath the thing that led to that bad fruit. And the problem is many of us don't know how to name it. And so everything that we do, the decisions that we make, many of us are just perplexing, bewildering, and confusing people. Because this is what roots do. Roots go out and they look to attach to something. And when they attach to something, it gives them energy, and it gives them sustenance, and it gives them life that will feed them so they can produce a certain kind of fruit. Which begs me to ask a simple question, friends. What are you attaching to? Are you attaching to negative emotions, negative stories? Are you attaching to things that are just filling you with all of this negative power that's creating a story within you that is producing bad fruit, that is bewildering, confusing, and perplexing those around you? What are you attaching to? Friends, I think, and you might not know this, but I believe that there is a little author that lives inside of you. And whenever you attach yourself to some sense of negativity, there's this person that just begins to feed your brain with a story about that person